Hey, everybody. Listen, welcome into the building. It's Friday night. It's Trending Topics. The title is The Price You Pay. The title is The Price You Pay. And listen, people, because I'm on late tonight, I was like, you know what? We doing just Diddy Trial updates. I'm sorry, y'all. I got to do it to y'all. You know, this is definitely going to be one for the books, this trial. And just Diddy, period. It's going to be one for the books. But I will continue to say this. I'm still waiting for the RICO. When you think about criminal activity, when you think about somebody being what am I trying to say? A monster. And they're going to play some audio tapes for you. The last thing you want to hear is an audio tape with a dude talking about, I told you to stop playing with me. You want to hear audio tape where he was saying, I told you to take that person out. Or I told you to carry the substances from A to Z. Why didn't you get my stuff? But they play an audio tape of him telling Jane that he ain't fitting to play with her no more. That she ain't going to be questioning who he hang out with because Young Miami just came to his house to work out. Listen, I want to say that if I save one person, then a job well done for me. I tell y'all my truth all the time. I'm not selling myself to the devil for no couch, no chair, my rent, my mortgage, a sweater, a pocketbook, nothing. I promise you that I lived in my home with nothing but a TV and a table in my living room for years. And I wasn't ashamed. And people came to my house all the time. Matter of fact, I need to back that thing up. My dining room and living room was empty. I promise you, on everything I love. Not for days, not for months, for years. Empty. Nothing in it. People offered to buy me furniture. I'm good. Men offered. I'm fine. People question why I would send my son to a private school and my dining room and living room was empty. Because I'm good. Why am I bringing this up? This girl said her tatas in her private area was so sore at times that she couldn't do nothing, and it not only sore, infected. And all she keeps talking about is she endured all of this stuff in the name of some rent money. Do you know how many single mothers are out there? It's probably more single mothers than it is people that are living in a two-parent household. She act like if she didn't get this money from him, she was going to be straight homeless. And listen, I'm saying this respectfully. Why are we hearing her story? Is the Southern District of New York serious? She keeps saying why she did this. She did this in the name of rent money. I felt like I couldn't tell him no. Listen, I ain't victim shaming, but hear me out. In November, was it, of 2023, Cassie outlined in her lawsuit how this man allegedly treated her. You, Jane, with the rest of the world, saw a video of him beating Jane down. You, along with the rest of the world, heard about civil suit at the civil suit at the civil suit at the civil suit at the civil suit. So you had more of a blueprint and an open door than anybody else. If you would have hollered at us in 2023 and said, hold up, this man is doing this to me, you would have been believed. So you on this stand doing what and telling us what, when all the information was out there for you to go to any police station, anybody, file your own personal civil suit. But you stay popping pills, needing antibiotics, having to show pictures to prove that you was on your monthly because you didn't want to do these hotel nights, and you was doing the hotel nights because you loved him. I wish she loved herself. I wish she loved herself. See, a lot of people, they talk that junk, right? They talk that mess. But deep down, if you were to strip them down, you take away the Gucci, you take away the Bentley, you take away the Benz, you take away the penthouse, they don't know who they are. You gotta love yourself. I don't care if I'm bald with one tooth in my mouth, I'm still gonna love me. I don't care if I'm in a studio apartment, I'm gonna love me. I don't care if my house is fully furnished or it's completely empty, but I got somewhere to lay my head, and ain't nobody gonna come up in my door, bust through my door, and thinking they own me because they gave me some rent or mortgage money. That this, it's a heck to the no. If you learn anything from the diva, I hope that you learn this. Don't sell your soul to the devil, because 9.9 times out of 10, you ain't going to get it back. You raising a child, and you subjected your child to this. And I just can't imagine, but I can imagine at the same time that all of these people were willing to do whatever to be in his orbit. And now the Southern District of New York, they want us to put all of this on his back. And this ain't to say that he isn't who he is. He is who he is. But y'all allowed him to be who he was. They say we teach people how to treat us. If you're coming on an interview and I'm there with my robe and underwear on and you accept it, you're teaching me something. I could treat you like that. So the next time I see you, I could be butt bone naked and you're going to be good with it. I'm laying in the bed next to you for 9 hours straight. We're watching explicit movies. Then I lay it on you, because if you don't watch this 9 hours straight, then I know you down with the get down, because nowhere in there you was like, enough with these movies. So now I say to you, do you ever have a fantasy? This stuff that's going on here, what about if we do this for real, for real? And you like, all right, cool. You go to take a tinkle, you come back, I said, boom, it's on and popping, let's go. I done got the people for you. I got this. I got that. I'm already. And everybody is like, lock him up. Well, y'all got a lot of people to lock up. Because if we want racketeering and RICO, then I'm going to need the Southern District of New York to step up their game. This is our taxpayer dollars. Step your game up. And you know what? This is on Diddy. They got her at the 11th hour because after they raided your homes in March, you were still doing freak-offs. But that just tells you the integrity of the people, right? People were still willing. That all of that stuff was out there. The raid was out there. All of these lawsuits was out there. And he was still able to get people to come over and do a freak-off. And you want the diva to be outraged. When we still had people, after they had all the information out there, after his home got raided, after all the lawsuits was put out there, and the salacious stuff, in the video of Cassie getting a beat down, he still got people to come and do a freak off. And Jane, out of her own mouth, this ain't got nothing to do with D, but out of her own mouth, Jane was with him up until the moment he got arrested. So that tells me that if Diddy never got arrested, Jane, and listen, I'm in New Jersey. At 9:27 p.m., Jane will probably be with Diddy doing a freak off, a hotel night. And I'm trying to ask, I wish I could personally speak to the Southern District of New York and ask them, what do you want from us? What? We on day 18. And she's telling us essentially she was a worker. I put it nicely. She was a drug mule. I put it nicely. Out of her own mouth. And when did you ever hear her say, I really said no? She said one time I wrote to him, I guess, and said, I don't want to do this no more. So he said, cool. You can somebody tell me a gangster that when you wanted out, they was like, cool. And not only am I going to let you out, I give you a few months where I'm going to continue to pay you. Do you know a gangster like that? Can you tell me where those gangsters live? That you want out? Most people, when they want out a gang, their family ends up having a funeral. Cassie's mother said, we got extorted for $20,000, and then a couple days later, it was back in my account. Do you know a gangster that takes your money and give you back the money? Now, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted at all. I'm not saying this man didn't do some stuff. He did a whole lot of stuff. But if the Southern District of New York want him to be convicted for some stuff, they need to show us some stuff. I'm so tired of hearing about his sex life. I am over it. There are people in these streets, they hoeing for a weave. They are. They hoeing to get their hair done. They hoeing to get a shoe. They hoeing to get a Gucci bag. So these were just a higher level of hoeing. And I'm trying to figure out what the Southern District of New York want from us. And I know everybody clutching their pearls like OMG in regards to his life, right? But I'm going to throw this out there. Then I'm going to shut up and bring the people in the building. Let me throw this out there. Neil got what? He's calling it whatever he's calling it, but he bought about 4 girlfriends. What you think going on with it over there? He got 4 girlfriends. I just want to ask you this. If these 4 girlfriends come out later and say they was S trafficking and all that, are y'all going to support them? Kanye West wife walking around with zero clothes on. If she come out later and say that Kanye was forcing her, coercing her, and all that, are y'all going to support her? Can I say this respectfully? Nick Cannon got how many baby mothers and how many kids? If later on they come out and say, little son, are y'all going to give them the support? Does nobody have to be responsible for self? Let me bring the people on in the building. Y'all know what I need in the chat. I need a what, y'all? I need a choo-choo. All aboard, everybody. It is Friday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. The price you pay when you want to sell yourself to the devil, when you want to open Pandora's box, when you want to spend your time with a man trying to prove to him that you love him, instead of spending your time on a couch with a therapist so they can tell you how to love yourself, that's the price you're going to pay. You love this man more than you loved yourself. You love this man more than you loved your kid, because you allowed yourself to go through this and put yourself through it. And that man told you that you couldn't use no protection because he had a fetish. I call it a fetish, where he like, let me bring the people on in the building. I got to stop this right here. Hold on one second. Hey, Katrina.
Hey, Diva. Hey, panel. Hey, chat.
Hey, Felicia. Hey, Wayne.
Hey, Diva.
Hey, listen.
Hey,
you know,
everybody, hit the like button.
Hit the like button. Shawnee, listen. People Magazine done tore this thing down. The marshals are watching, but if the marshals really want to clean this up, along with that judge, and I haven't been saying her name, and this, you know what, and Shawnee, let me just say this. The easy thing for everybody to do is say that when we speaking the truth and we're trying to save another life from going through this, they're saying that we are victim shaming. Let me clear something up. Somebody give me the definition in the chat exactly what everybody means by this victim shaming. This is not victim shaming. We're going to tell the truth here and shame the devil. It's not victim shaming. This chick out of her own mouth says she ran up and went into debt on 3 credit cards to furnish her home. That's not victim shaming. That's calling it what it is. Forgive me, but not forgive me. That's a damn fool. You're in some home where you had to use 3 credit cards to furnish this home, and you went into debt. Are you kidding me right now? And Shawnee, I ain't mad at you. Support all the victims. But let me tell you what real support would be. Let me back up and say this, and then I got to get to the people and give some and show some of this stuff so we can go around and talk. Let me say this. The Bible says, if you teach a man to fish, he will eat for life. If you give him fish, he gonna eat for the day. Okay, and so if you sitting there and you depending upon another person to be paying your rent, you want to constantly be doing whatever to get your rent paid. So if you really want to support a victim, you need to get to the core and the root cause of why they're selling themselves to the devil, and tell them that they should be on somebody's couch, seeing a therapist that is qualified and put in the work to build themselves up, versus keep trying to prove to somebody that you love them, and you need to prove to yourself that you love you. Look in the mirror and say, I love me. So your hoo-ha is not sore, and your boobs are not infected, and you're not on antibiotics for life because you slept with 900 men using no protection. And if what I'm doing is a name of victim shaming, then I guess I'm victim shaming, and I'm gonna roll with that. Now let me just show you a picture. Then I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go around because I know I done talked enough. I wonder if this picture is up here. I may have to. Let me see if I go here. Nope. Let me see. I may have to show it later. I'm gonna show it later. I'm gonna show this picture later. Okay, but I'll find it later. So let me just share something else. Let me share screen. Let's go to share screen. Let's do this first. Yeah, please don't cheat the diva. Hit that like button. Am I in this story? Okay. Why Diddy's ex-girlfriend sent him a picture of a bloody tampon and how he reacted. The mogul's ex-girlfriend, identified as Jane, continued testifying against him in federal court. Okay. Sean Diddy Combs got angry at his ex-girlfriend when she said she was too tired for a hotel night, even after she sent him a graphic image as proof. She testified in court on Friday, June 6th. The woman who was testifying under the pseudonym Jane said she and Combs dated from 2021 until his arrest in 2024. Jane, who shed tears on the witness stand, said Combs forced her into a drug-filled sexual encounters with male escorts while Combs watched, directed, and pleasured himself. She testified they could last up to 30 hours at a time. Let me tell y'all something. Here's the thing, too. They're doing dramatics and gymnastics and all kind of stuff here. I promise you this. I don't care what you took or did not take. It is humanly impossible to be up 30 hours straight performing acts. I don't care what they said. And if so, I want to see the 30 hours of footage where this happened. But let me continue. Her description of the encounters, which she said Combs called hotel nights, closely resembled freak-offs, described by Combs' former longtime girlfriend, Cassandra Cassie Ventura. Both women testified that they unwillingly took part in the encounters, which Combs' attorneys have denied. Like Ventura, Jane said she feared the repercussions if she refused. On one occasion, she testified that she was on her period and too tired for a hotel night, which she had just done a few days prior. She even sent him a picture of a bloody tampon to prove it. This upset Combs, she said, who allegedly left her a voicemail played to the jury, accusing her of lying. He also suggested that she drank champagne, a solution he allegedly said had previously helped her get through hotel nights on her period. When Jane apologized for the change in plans and said, "I'm only human," Combs allegedly responded, "You're acting weird as F." Ventura testified last month that Combs forced her to have sex while she was on her period. The last hotel night occurred in August 2024, weeks before his arrest at a Manhattan hotel, she testified. And we know what Combs is being charged with. He pleaded not guilty. He's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center since, right? There's so much stuff I could show here. Give me 1 minute. I do want to play something else, and then I'll go around. We'll have a talk. And in between, I will interject some other stuff. Let me just share screen again. All right, so. All right, let's play this real quick.
We think the main two takeaways are, one, that she says
that's not the one I want to play. Hold on 1 second. It's Julius. Who's first here? Let me stop sharing. Julius, you could talk really quick while I try to queue up this other video that I want to play.
So, people need to. Are we almost queued up with the story, Diva?
No, just go ahead and talk.
Okay. So, facts of life, a whole lot is going on right now. And that's all I'm going to say. Somebody next.
All right, so let me play this. Come on, Flip, love yourself, and then Felicia, I'm coming to you. Hold on one second. This is it. Yeah, this is it. Let me share. Felicia, it's taking a long time to queue up. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go.
Hey, I really don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to just give you a heads up that I'm about to really disappear on you. You feel me? I'm not going to be playing these games with you at all, at all. So I don't know. You think you silent treating me, and you think I'm gonna be nah. You'll have a rude awakening. You'll just have silence, and ain't nobody threatening you. And I ain't trying to go back and forth with no woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I ain't got no time for no games. Where my life is at right now, I don't have no time for no games, baby girl. Me and you can be mad. I can have a spat. We can have whatever. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really that's all it is. Cause you got me on my job. Nah, it ain't never gonna work like that over here. You know what I'm saying? I was trying not to leave this message, but you have left me no choice. So either you go in the direction of like moving on and like that, or you like just like have me just keep moving. Ain't no threat. I'm just being clear. I can't do this with you every time you get upset. Yeah, that's my friend. I'm in Miami. I don't have a lot of friends out here, okay? She asked me if she could work out with me. I said, okay. You got to believe what you want. It's the last time you're going to be cursing at me, disrespecting me over nothing. Like I'm a human being. I'm not going to lock myself up in a room and have no friends. I don't have a bunch of guy friends. I already told you that. And she just came over to work out. Like, but I'm not going to be explaining to you. It don't matter if I just got finished her the other day. I'm single. I could do whatever the I want to, but I didn't. You're straight flipping out on me, and I told you that you had one more time to do this. Flipping out on me because somebody came to work out with me at my house. You're nuts. So be sad, go crazy, do whatever the you want to do. Okay, I don't deserve you. I don't deserve being honest with somebody, and then every time they see somebody around, they like, I'm doing something. I'm working out. Girl, I done sent you flowers already. Ain't nobody talk about that in the past? That's what I'm talking about. You don't know how to just move on. How can somebody like have a relationship with you even as a friend and you don't know how to move on? You go to like it just goes crazy. Just stop. I'm saying let's move on. And my tone is like this. I'm just waking up.
Ciao, Felicia, your thoughts?
God, that was painful. God.
Woo!
No, he don't have no friends. No, he's not human. And yeah, he got a host of problems. So he has self-identified what his crises are. Good evening, everyone. You know, I've been out here listening. I've been reading. I've been following up. So, you know, you got Felicia here. I'm not just speculating. I'm listening to the testimony. And a lot of what has been said, it sounds to me like a bad relationship. Sounds to me like one of Mr. Combs' bad relationships. You know, he keep giving all the people all the money. They're not happy. They want more time with him. Baby, I would need more time. But I'm just not certain why these women are so willing to debase themselves in such a documented way. I mean, sending photographs. It's one thing if I'm stupid enough to say it, but I'm going to record and take a photo? It's got to be that ketamine. I've been saying it all week. I'm going to stay there until they bring the specialists up to tell us what the effects, the side effects, the long-term effects of folks who are doing these kinds of substances for 4 and 5 days a week, one after the other, just staying in this state of euphoria and hallucinating and things like that. Uh, Honestly, I'm a very caring person and I do care about others. But I mean, these women are volunteering to have these UTIs. What did she said? She just stay on antibiotics. I know everybody up here know at some point the antibiotics ain't going to work no more. They're going to be null and void. So from week to week. So we don't use any prevention. So we don't use the condom, and we can have a talk backstage about why that is. And we don't do anything to try to get ahead of taking on a new one. And just FYI, in today's testimony, she said there was some funky commercial worker there that she just couldn't get close to. She just couldn't do it. She was, can I talk to you for a moment? What she called him? Bert, Ernie, Frank? I don't know. They got so many names. Anyway, she goes to talk to him and he tells her, okay, don't worry about it. Just put it in your mouth. Hey, I can't make sense of none of this. You know, I come old school. I'm from back, the old school gangster. I don't know the new terminology. I don't know how these relationships work. It don't make sense to me, and it's all right. I'm done.
Thank you. K and J, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Dita, they have played it before, but no FOs. Can I sue too? Hashtag accountability. At some point, we got to take accountability. We got to. By the time she was with him, it was the tail end where she had a whole lot of information that she didn't even have to research for, was in her face. There was weeks in, once that lawsuit hit in November from Cassie, I swear to goodness, from December all the way into the next year, it was Diddy. Was she under a rock? Katrina, your thoughts?
Okay. This is it's not funny, but it's laughable. You simply saying the man smelled, but then he wanted you to do oral on him. I don't know if she did it or not, but this is totally disgusting. You got a UTI and you still sleeping with people with no protection. UTIs hurt. I don't know if anybody had one or ever had one. They're not a good feeling. And you sit up there, Diddy saying this is your job. So he's paying you to sleep with these men while he watch. So I don't know if they trying to regulate that with prostitution or whatsoever. I'm not for sure. But girl, if you got to do this, that your body is so tired, so you can pay your rent, your furniture, or whatsoever, you'll be better off going to school or working at Dillard's or working at the gas station. But you want to lower yourself to do this, to sleep with all these men with no protection. And then we wonder why we have a high SD infections out here. Y'all are the reason. You don't know what these people got. I'm quite sure Diddy didn't have them tested before they slept with you or before you slept with them. So you don't know what you taking in your body. And some things can't be cured with antibiotics. But you willing to take this risk instead of going out there getting a 9 to 5 job. You doing all this for 30 hours. You might well work 2 jobs. You can work at the gas station. You can work at Dillard's. You can work anywhere. You can work. If you saying you staying up for 30 hours, baby girl, you can do a lot of jobs. But instead, you there being sore, can't walk. This just ridiculous and sick. It's not even worth it, girl. I don't know how much he was paying you, but I would have never told nobody that. I'm sorry. These girls, these women are making themselves look like fools. Even though he done all this stuff and he's not innocent either, but they're making themselves look like total fools. That you allowed this man to talk you into doing this type of stuff, and you up here on stand, I know you got to feel some type of shame. There's no possible way you can't. This is ridiculous. This is totally ridiculous. And the ketamine is normally used for horses. That's how they tranquilize horses. It's a horse drug. But like I said, it's ridiculous. And no Rico yet, no children yet. But we'll see how it goes. That's all I got, Diva.
First of all, she was a OnlyFans model also. Instead of doing this 30 hours straight with Diddy, she could have did it on OnlyFans. There's OnlyFans models and whoever, whatever they want to call themselves, that are raking in the cash.
Evan Lozada says she do it, and she makes more doing that than being on Basketball Wives. So you're right.
So my thing is, respectfully, for all those that think we victim shaming, this is what she wanted. And she kept saying she wanted to please him. She wanted to love him. She wanted him to love her. Yeah, that's what Larissa says. She get 10K just for her feet. They got options. But the option you chose was Diddy, and you want what now? Callie, your thoughts? Callie, are you there?
Oh, okay.
No.
Sorry, I was muted.
No problem.
Okay, so with this particular story here, I have a suspicion that they had an arrangement, and because he does not understand boundaries, like he doesn't understand boundaries with his business employees, he tried to create some sort of friendship with her. I'm not quite sure if I believe they were ever dating. I'm more leaning toward that he hired her to do this and they had some type of arrangement. But because, again, he has an issue with boundaries, he kind of started trying to be friends with her and everything got confused and mixed up. And the only reason why I say that is because she was still doing it. So if you thought you were in a relationship and then you heard about what was happening with Cassie, you see him with this other lady, and you're still doing this, because my friend was saying, well, maybe they're saying that she was frauded, like she wasn't forced, she was a victim of fraud. And I said, well, how could that be possible? When did she find out that she had been defrauded? Because she was still doing this up until he was taken away. So that argument doesn't even wash. So I'm leaning more toward, as we found out yesterday, the past couple of days, some of these things are not true. You know, we know that he did a whole lot of things, but we're also finding out, if you're reading the transcripts, that some of these things, like the balcony incident, I no longer believe that ever happened. I think that's just some crazy story that girl made up. Do you know that Diddy once hung me over a balcony? And she kept repeating it over the years, and it spread around LA, and the rumor just went from there. I don't think that ever happened after hearing that cross-examine. So the same with here, I don't think that we're getting the exact truth. Something is not right with this story. And I don't know why any woman would think that a man who was acting this way in the beginning is trying to date her and have a relationship with her. It's not adding up. Maybe it's a cultural difference. Maybe it's the ketamine. This doesn't make any sense to me. Like, as a grown adult, she's 38 years old. So she's probably, 35 when this started? Why would you think that a man that's approaching you this way is trying to date you? That doesn't make any sense. So something is amiss with this story. I will never quite know what it is. This woman clearly was not forced. I don't like where they're going with this, because I feel like we're going back to the 1950s where we're saying women don't have minds of their own.
Come on now.
And we can just be forced and brainwashed and manipulated by men and we can't be trusted to do anything. A man could just manipulate her. This is why they didn't want us to vote, because they thought that our husbands would just manipulate us and tell us what to vote. So now it's very shocking to me how many people still believe that women have no mind of their own and they can just be manipulated and told what to do. And I hear people using words like, oh, he's forcing her to do this and he made her. And I'm like, well, no, that's not what she said. She didn't say anybody forced her. She didn't say anybody physically forced her or made her. Or in fact, there have been very few times in this whole thing where somebody was been physically forced. It's actually just, I've noticed something, and I don't know if it's coaching. There's a lot of leaving it up for people to assume you were physically forced. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, he sent a bodyguard to come get me. Did the bodyguard shove you in the car, or did they just come and say, I'm here to give you a ride, and you went with them? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But people are assuming that he's sending some bodyguard to kidnap you. It's a lot of things like that happening that are leading me to believe. I gotta be honest. Yes, Cassie is a victim of DV. We know that, but I'm starting to think anything beyond that is a lot of shenanigans of people that have substance abuse problems, and no one's being forced. Everyone's just high, and all of this is just a bunch of bogusness. Even on that recording we heard, he's referencing her verbally abusing him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I won't be talked to like that anymore. You can't just talk to somebody like that. So, and if it's the ketamine, why isn't he in love with these women? So that's what makes me think it's not the ketamine. I think it's a combination of lying, and then it might be something cultural. I'm not sure. I just don't know why even Cassie, even at her age that she met him, I knew that if a man kind of approaches me on that level, he's not really trying to date me. And I might be disappointed, but I'm going to probably stop calling him. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. Once he offered me the pill, I would have been like, yeah, I don't do that. Then when he asked me something about a freak off, I would have been like, oh, he don't really like me. And I would have been disappointed, and that would have been the end of it. You know?
But you know what, Callie? It comes to your own integrity, what you're willing to do for money. Remember, Cassie's own so-called friend said that when she asked her why Cassie wouldn't leave Diddy, she said because Jay-Z is taken.
But again, I question that because she married a trainer. That's what I'm saying. I think that everybody in this story is lying a little bit. And they're
lying a lot. I've been saying that for days.
Lies.
They're lying a lot.
Bits of the truth, and they're adding a lie in there. And so you don't know where the truth begins and where the lie stops, because no one could have told me that balcony incident didn't happen until that cross-examination. I heard that story for years. I believed that story for years. Mm-hmm. And then when I thought about who's telling the story and the fact that he wasn't even physically there, it couldn't have happened. I'm like, she's one of those people. She told this story for clout, to say Diddy hung me over a balcony. That's her claim to fame. Because a lot of this has to do with celebrity worship. You saw the way Cassie spoke about him. I never looked at Diddy that way. He's a guy that sampled a bunch of music that other artists had already made. I never saw him as a real artist. He can't rap. He's not handsome. Like the way that she saw him, I've never seen him that way. And I'm more from his era than she is. I'm older than her. So I think a lot of this has to do with celebrity worship as well, and just them wanting to be around this big celebrity. And as far as this particular lady that's testifying now, I think that she's a person that does this type of work in the entertainment industry. No one has told me that. This is something that I'm deducing from little things that I'm hearing. I actually do know someone who worked with her on a TV show, and she needed dental work. So even that thing, he didn't like my teeth. No, there was an issue. That's all I will say, because I don't want to get in trouble, because they're not going to tell me any more tea. But
here's the thing. Listen, people do it on a low level every day, right? There's chicks out there that's dropping it low, spreading it wide, however they want to say, to get their bills paid, to get a weave in their hair, to get their nails done, or whatever, right? And if that's what you choose to do with your life, that's what you choose to do. The problem I'm having with this Diddy case is they chose it in real time, and now they want to come to us and tell us it wasn't what it was. You can't rewrite history. It was what it was. You did what you did, and now you got to live with what you did. But I say forgive yourself, but you can't come to the Southern District of New York, sit there as a witness and tell a half truth, because we're not that stupid. Something is missing from the story. The worst part for me with Jane is you had all the information out there to tell you no, and up until the moment he got arrested, you was with him, and they told us when he got arrested, and I was like, what the heck? I don't believe that, but now I do. They told us when he got arrested, there was evidence in the hotel room as if he was going to have a freak off, and it probably was so. Why? Because he just had one in August. Mm-hmm. This man was a darn fool when it came to calming down, but that's what addictions do to you. He got a lot of addictions, and 99, if you ask me, 0.9% of the people that hung around him that long, they had some type of addiction also. There was no
they're all at it.
You was going to hang around with him if you didn't. They had addiction also. So my thing is, and then I don't think all of them, the addiction started with Diddy. You can't tell me that you just on the up and up, you just met this man, and he's offering you this pill, that, this, that, and the other, and you like, okay.
No, I think that these women were, I don't want to call them groupies, because Cassie actually was an artist. But I think that they were the type of women who were around the industry already doing these types of things. And I know people don't want to accept that because they're so married to believing this narrative and trusting in the government that, oh, they wouldn't have filed these charges unless there was something. No, they've done a lot of foul things. I think that rappers are a target because they've done a lot of bragging about committing crimes and abusing women. And I think that someone said, well, why don't we go get them? And I think that's what's happening. And if Diddy loses this case, it's going to be like a stack of dominoes. They're just going to go from rapper to rapper to rapper, and they're all going to get locked up.
I don't think that's it. I think what happened was that, I'm going to be honest with you, they already knew about Diddy in the law enforcement for decades. This was not anything new to them. But the problem is, and I'm going to say allegedly, a lot of security, they are some way ex-law enforcement in that industry. So how do I take down, just like, you know, what's his name? I mix up Epstein and Weinstein all the time, but Epstein, just like Epstein, he knew too much. So all of a sudden, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, Epstein takes his own life in the jail cell. Now, before Epstein, and this is all documented, you know, I don't put 20 on 10. Before Epstein even got locked up, the actual police, not a friend of a friend of a friend, the actual police told him to knock it off. We know what you're doing on this island. We know that young girls are being violated. Young people, for real. Because we still waiting for the minors in the Diddy case. But for real, 100%, they told him, we already know. Knock it off. But see, addictions are addictions. After he was personally told by the police himself to knock it the heck off, he still kept doing what he was doing. And then they had no choice, because the evidence was starting to spill over to the streets. They had no choice but to bring him in and lock him up. And then he had a black book. Y'all know if y'all remember that Fleiss. She had a black book. But one thing I'm going to give up to Heidi Fleiss, and she was another one, was so highly addicted. But one thing I will give to Heidi Fleiss, She told them, you ain't getting a name, you ain't getting nothing from me. She gave up no one. So with Epstein, he had a black book too. And now we know Elon Musk, because he fighting with his boy, he putting a business on the streets. Let's be clear. In that Epstein book, there was so many names, it was shut down Hollywood. But see, people like to play games in their head that is one monster. Epstein was the monster. Weinstein was the monster. Now Diddy is the monster. And then we got the other monster who's claiming dementia, and he ain't getting no smoke. But on top of him not getting no smoke, the guy from Abercrombie and Fitch, on top of him getting no smoke, you are getting not one nasty, salacious story in the news back to back about him. Once Cassie filed that lawsuit, you can pull up on average about 50 to 60 to 70 to thousands of stories about Diddy every single day.
Don't forget about the Tate brothers.
Yeah, but meantime, and the Tate brothers, that's right, Katrina. But meantime, the guy from Abercrombie and Fitch, we never heard that anybody was trying to get out the room of the freak off and run and all of that, right? But the guy from Abercrombie and Fitch, Mike Jeffries, I want to say his name is, they said he hired a security company and had the doors locked. And these people could not leave until Mike Jeffries and his partner said, let them out the door. You tell me where Diddy had the hotel room locked with a security guy out there saying you can't leave.
I don't even think this was a sophisticated ring of crime. Honestly,
but hold on one second. I told y'all when they raided the house, there was nothing. Y'all beat me down with a stick, but I knew there was nothing. Because if they could put out about 1,000 bottles of baby oil, trust and believe, if they had one tape, not thousands, if they had one tape where somebody looked like they was trying to get out and Diddy said no and this, that, and the other. Diddy out of his own mouth told baby girl Jane, if it's over, then get the going, get the stepping. Get the stepping. He did on Martin. If it's over, get the stepping. You know why? Because he had other people lined up ready to do it. At that point, he had several allegedly S workers. They were all, it was the Hunger Games. Every single person in the orbit was fighting to be his number one. And why? Because what he did was he played games. He lowballed Diva. Diva was getting $5,000 a month, and then I heard person B was getting $10,000 a month, and then I heard the top dog roller that was being complained about in that video, Young Miami, was getting $300K a month. And I'm like, well, what the heck? I'm here doing freak offs every day night. My tuta is sore. My boobs is pus is coming out, and I'm getting 10K, and this shit getting $300,000. What the heck is going on? They was all fighting to be the number one worker. And they was getting madder and madder. And they thought the more outrageous stuff they can do, they could win him over. And little did they know, it wasn't winning him over. That's why he told on the phone, baby girl, I ain't about to hear all this nonsense from you. You don't be asking me who the other S worker is. It is what it is. If you ain't going to do it, you ain't going to talk to me like that. And pretty much, I gave you flowers and we are done past that incident. So shut up. If you come with me a lot of nights, I played a video from Mike Tyson where he said he had these toxic relationships. We fight, I buy you gifts, we make up, and we never discuss why I had to buy you the flowers in the first place. Are we going to keep it 100 here? Are we going to play these stupid games like we don't know what this is? This was what it was, and it is what it is. And there's some people that are in these situations that have nowhere to do with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of them doing it for $5. They doing it for pennies on the nickel. And some of them, they actually giving the man their money, and he taking their money to some other chick. This is everyday stuff on rich people level. And it's sick, but it's true. Wayne, your thoughts?
Whew. Okay. I have a little bit of empathy for this woman, first of all, because I don't feel she had enough self-love for herself and allowed herself to be a vehicle of satisfaction to Diddy and these other people, whoever it was, to do that and still be in pain and have to go back and do it again. Now, nobody made you do it, you did it, but I still have some empathy that she didn't have enough self-love for herself. And through all of that, through all the pain, she still allowed men, this activity go on. Okay. Now, to me, I mean, it was consensual. It was consensual, but just because it was consensual doesn't mean she didn't, that she didn't feel some kind of way, deep down into me anyway. But I don't know how you can love yourself to do something in pain. I don't know. If I felt bad tonight and I woke up tomorrow and felt bad, guess what? I'm not going to work. I don't care what they say. If they tell me you're going to lose your job if you don't come to work, okay, so be it. Bye. My job is just gone. Why am I going to go to work and I'm already in pain and I'm going to work through the pain? And you stayed up 30 hours. I don't know how much love you can have for yourself. Infections, all this kind of, all those things involved in that kind of activities. I feel empathy that she felt that she needed that apartment more. That she needed to look good more. She needed all this stuff more than the love for herself. Okay? She could have left. None of the things they said that, that made Diddy, like I said, nobody forced you, nobody grabbed your mouth and held it and put a pill down it. They haven't said nothing about men holding you down, somebody holding you down while they have their way with you. Okay? You allowed yourself to be a vehicle of satisfaction for the goods, for the money, for the clout, whatever you want to call it. Okay? Like you say, Diva, she should have been on somebody's couch trying to find out, why do I allow myself to do this? It's painful. Even at home, I'm in pain. I'm trying to show them I'm in pain, but no, you got to get here. Well, that's up to you. Because you did it, because you're going to lose your apartment now, that's your problem. You did it. So I just feel bad. She didn't have empathy for her, that she didn't just feel that good enough about herself and allow this to happen and continue to happen. That's it.
Anybody else?
Okay, she didn't have love for herself, but didn't she have a child? So the diseases and the infection stuff that you got, I'm not saying your child can get it, but I'm saying if you didn't love yourself that much, why didn't you care about your child? That would have been my number one focus, because you don't know what you could have got that could have ended your life and your child would have been left motherless. And you doing all this for materialistic things. Not because you need it for a life threatening kidney operation or a heart a heart bypass or something like that. You doing it to save an apartment. If you need an apartment that bad, go to community action. Go to a church. Ask the church to help. Go to the thrift store and buy your furniture. They have good stuff at the thrift stores with people being gave furniture and stuff away. So you worried about your material lifestyle, but you're not worrying about your child lifestyle, because you could have did something that caused harm to yourself that your child could have been without a mother. And I
When
ain't
you're on
going
those
against you,
kind of
Brian. You
drugs,
get what I'm saying. I'm not going against what you. I hear what you're saying about the empathy thing, that she didn't love herself enough. But if you got a child, you should have loved yourself that much to love your child, because your child could have been left motherless,
but
especially
when you're
doing
on
the
all
stuff
these
that you're doing.
mind-altering drugs, I don't think you
Listen,
even
that's
think about
another
that.
thing. You use a mind-altering drug, but you got a child at home. What if you sleep? What if the child walk out the door? What if the child start a fire? What if a child do this and you sleep? If you taking these mind-altering drugs, most of these drugs put you to sleep. I don't know, the ketamine stuff is supposed to be a tranquilizer, and the MSMDS, that's mostly like Molly. Those things put you to sleep. So if you're taking all these drugs, how are you in your right mind to even function, to even have to even care for your child? That's the
Well,
thing
some
right
of
there.
some of the drugs that they found are things that are cut with methamphetamine. Like I'm not saying that they were all taking whatever he had in his room at his house, but with the stuff that they found in his bedroom during the raid, several of those things are cut with methamphetamine. So that would explain why someone would be able to not sleep for 30 hours and be monotonously doing things. And I mean, we've seen, Breaking Bad and all this stuff when people are tweaking. That's what this is, but this is a billionaire. So he's able to get IV drips, plastic surgery, new teeth when you rock them out, all of this stuff. So we don't see them look like the homeless, addicted people that we see in our neighborhoods. But this is what these people are. They're just these people with plastic surgery and fake teeth and fake boobs, so they don't look like they've lost too much weight. This is what this is.
And got
Yeah.
money too.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
listen to this real quick.
Testimony from his former girlfriend, who's testifying under the pseudonym Jane. And Jane had a lot to say on the stand today about their sex life and about participating in freak-offs. Does she get to the point where she is saying that she felt forced into this life? We're going to get to that. But one of the really shocking things she testified about was about what very well may have been the last freak-off timing that Diddy participated in. It certainly was, she said, the last one that she participated in. And what's interesting about this is Jane says it happened not in a hotel, as we've heard all the others, but it happened at Diddy's home in Miami on Star Island. And maybe it had to happen there because at this point, the raids had happened 5 months earlier.
So in March, we had these raids.
Right,
and Fox 11 cameras were above for that.
Yep, this
we
was
had
here in LA.
In LA, we had a raid in Miami as well.
At the Star Island mansion.
And then in August, according to Jane's testimony, there's a freak-off at Star Island.
In the home where the raid
had already happened. So he knew that the feds were very concerned about this whole thing and did it anyway.
And probably knew that his arrest was imminent. This is a month before his arrest, and we know that the feds were in contact with his attorneys. He even went to New York expecting to be arrested. So there was some anticipation on his part, but it is mind-boggling that a month before his arrest, he's still talking about
But in his mind,
planning,
he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, at first blush, it seems like Diddy having a freak-off, according to this testimony, just weeks before he's arrested in New York, might seem like he's incorrigible, like he just was getting in one last fling before he went away. But it could also cut that he didn't think he was doing anything wrong. This could help Diddy's case that this is just his lifestyle. He doesn't know what the feds were looking into, but having consensual group sex is not a crime, and he was just going about his business. He might also say he was in the throes of addiction and things like that, but I can actually see this testimony helping him in some odd way.
I would imagine that that's on cross-examination, that's what his attorneys are going to bring up, and that, the bigger thing for them is going to be whether or not she was forced into this, and that's what the prosecution's got to make clear here in her testimony.
And an interesting nugget, she apparently was picking out who she wanted to have sex with and was reaching out to them.
So there's at least one guy, this dude named Sly. She and Diddy actually saw him in a pornographic movie, and because Jane said she wanted to have some sort of agency over who she was sleeping with, she said, I really want to get with that guy. So she DM'd him. They had a phone conversation where she and Diddy were on one end and Sly was on the other. And they ended up actually flying him from Atlanta to New York and Atlanta to LA, which is, again, that's moving someone across state lines. And then she says that they paid him after a sexual experience that he had. So kind of goes to one of the charges that they're looking into.
That's the Mann Act right there.
That's the Mann Act. I mean, that's testimony of interstate transport for the purposes of sex and the exchange of money. She says he was paid around $4,000 for these escapades. Diddy reimbursed her. That's going to help prove up that charge, which has always been the simplest one in this case, because Diddy's not really running away from the fact that he often ordered, sexual company of this sort.
What's interesting about her testimony about choosing some of the sexual partners that she wanted to have agency over that. The forcible part, and I felt like with Cassie, they really did a really good job of her talking about feeling like this was not the life she wanted anymore, and it was fear that kept her in it, and that's the coercion to stay in it. I haven't really heard that really with Jane yet, and I would imagine the defense is going to use that, the fact that she said, look, I got to choose my partners.
But there was an incident because Jane talked about the fact that she was most of the time high on drugs, often on ecstasy, but she was sober one night. And after having sex with two guys sober, she went into the bathroom to throw up, and then Diddy walks in. What happens next?
Diddy walks in, and he's like, well, I'm so glad you threw up and you feel better, because the third guy's here, and we got to get back to this, basically.
I think that gets you closer.
Starts to get close, yeah.
It is getting closer. I still think a lot of this testimony seems like a girlfriend trying to please her boyfriend. And some of the Cassie testimony felt that way. But when you got to the physical violence, threatening to leak sex videos on that flight and then asking for a freak off after, that is a clearer nexus to me than her thinking, I really am into Diddy and I want to please him. So some of this interior thoughts that she had, the defense is going to look into how much of that was communicated to Diddy so that you can say he was forcing it over her objection.
Right, because if it's just her talking about what she thought, it's always going to come back to what did Diddy know. And the defense used that line when they were cross-examining Cassie as well. Right now, Jane is still on the stand, is expected to be all day, and then maybe on Monday they get to cross-examination, but they gotta, this is, and there's nothing from her that is touched on Rico. And not that every witness has to touch every single count against him, but everyone is still saying, where is the Rico evidence? Doesn't seem like it's gonna come from Jane at this point.
Hi, I'm Darian from Arlington, Virginia. And this just kind of shows that the way Diddy uses freak offs is the way that we use mindful over matter techniques. Diddy has a clear addiction, but also you have to be a little bit more self-aware and recognize what you're going to be going through. And I just think that level of perception, he just clearly does not have, that is still participating in those freak offs so close after getting raided.
You got to imagine that was a moment they were like, what? In August?
Well, it doesn't really give you a sense that he's got any sort of remorse at all. Obviously, He thinks what he's doing maybe wasn't bad, but if you were to let him off where he's back on the streets again, would he continue this sort of behavior again?
Right. That's the question.
I think clearly he will. Because if they raid two of your homes, and your lawyer tells you they about to arrest you, dude, and you still having a freak off, Houston, there's a problem. Anybody else want to say anything?
I would like
to my thoughts together, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Julius, and then I'll come to Felicia and then Wayne. Go ahead.
Oh, this case is just a mess. A mess. We said from the beginning, it's not about the FOs. It's not about any of that. But it's just a mess. It's a scrambling mess at this point.
Felicia, what did you want to say?
Yeah, first off, I want to repeat what I said last night. I don't think Miss Jane Doe is there voluntarily. I believe she was picked up when Mr. Combs was picked up, and I believe they threatened her to charge her with crimes. And she had a choice. Either she was going to get charged or she was going to come in as a witness. I listened to a good deal of her testimony. She didn't seem to object too much to the additional partners that she had. It seemed to me her biggest issue was that she didn't get to spend enough time one-on-one with Mr. Combs. And so I don't think that I personally am not judging her on that level. This is your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever kind of relationship. That's what the two of you had agreed upon. You thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do to please my boyfriend. You brought up some very good examples earlier, and we're talking about Mr. Wett's second wife. We see her being humiliated. We see her uncomfortable. And we just want to comment on other things other than what we see. So I think we're all getting conditioned to accepting certain things that we would not have accepted coming into the 80s and the 90s. I think in the long run, all men, everyone with a penis, whether you were born with one or you had one made, you better watch out. Because a lot of people are going to get charged. And it's going to come down to simple disagreements. What we agreed to and what we didn't agree to. So where maybe there used to be a time where adultery or extramarital affairs were the big no-nos, it won't be anymore. It'll be how many people did we agree to that, could participate in our marriage or our relationship, not, the monogamy of it all. And in terms of this prosecution, they don't give a damn about this woman. They don't care about her. All they care about is the win. We've been here, 18 days, 25 days, 16 months. Where's the RICO? Where's the minors? Where are the people who have truly been victimized? Where are the people who have been hurt? The people who didn't really get paid? All of these junkies, these addicts, they're addicted to the dope, they're addicted to the money, they're addicted to the fame, they're addicted to the X. They're full-blown addicts. That's what they are. And I'm supposed to think that there's something here that's reliable, that I can trust. No, and no, and no. I would not want to be on the other end of making a decision as to whether or not someone is incarcerated for the balance of their lives, or a mother is charged with prostitution and drug possession because she happened to be with a boyfriend that maybe did too much and had too much going on. No way. I think the prosecution has really failed here. And everybody says, well, wait, that's what we heard last week. Isn't that what we heard, Julius? Wait, it's coming next week. Oh, we're getting there.
That's what we heard. Mm-hmm.
It's a slow boil, but we're getting there. Tony Busby came on the scene, I think it was 9 months ago or so. We're still waiting for the 13-year-old. We're waiting for the 16-year-old. And meanwhile, as you said, when you opened up, Diva, the only thing we're hearing about is this man's sex life, and we're sick of it. We don't want to hear no more.
Child, over it.
Over it.
Suing for distress.
Ooh. Wayne, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think they was all, trying to be the number one. Mm-hmm. And every time when one fell off, they took it as an opportunity. When one, after one was gone, then they move on in and thought they could hold the number one spot until they got, oh, wow, this number one spot hard to hold. But they're already in it. So I think they was all fighting to who could do the freak off better. That's it.
That's word. That's word. That's word. They thought the more they agreed to this, the more he would put them on the top of the list and like them. But she also mentioned, Jane, about how he had this other girl, and the other girl was the one that got all the accolades, that got to be seen with him in public, that he was taking here, there, and everywhere. A mess. Anybody else before I close out? Listen, this thing is a lot, this Diddy case. We're going to stay connected. I don't know what this jury is going to do, but I do know one thing that I stand by. They should have been sequestered. And I think there's no way on the face of this earth that they're not being exposed to all of the smut that's on the streets that happens after they leave the courtroom. It would just be humanly impossible. And, you know, I had said in another video, and I'm not saying that the judge shouldn't have reprimanded Diddy, but I said in another video, ASAP Rocky straight up in the court, if you was watching, I promise you this happened. He told the guy on the witness stand, do not say a word. This is why he was being questioned. He said, don't answer that. So and no judge threatened to kick him out of court for his own case. He straight up told the witness, don't answer the question. In the YSL case, they was passing for real, the drugs in the courtroom. This thing is a complete another circus. The truth ain't in nobody on that stand. And at least I'll give this to Jane. But I think because she was really forced, like Felicia said, to help them out. She's talking about how she transported the substances. She's all over the place too. Because she's feeling scared to say, she's feeling scared to not say enough to please them because she don't want to get locked up. So that's where I feel for her. But see, she wouldn't have been in this position because once they would have raided his house. If I didn't have the strength to go before, I definitely would have said deuces after the raid. Matter of fact, once Cassie sued, I would have said deuces. But see, I was never that girl that think, he's treating her like that, but he wouldn't do it to me. I was that girl that said, well, dag, if he's treating her like that, imagine what he'll do to me. That's the other problem people have. They swear it's never going to be them. The resume don't lie. The resume don't lie. If he did it to 5 other chicks, you be a fool to think that he won't do it to you. Listen, guys, y'all know the routine. If y'all didn't hit that like button on the way in, hit it on the way out. We will continue to cover this case. It's a lot going on. And my thing is, they know everything about Diddy. But they got other people to protect. And if you remember from the very beginning when they raided that home, many people said they really raided their home so that they could get the tapes that they really wanted and they could suppress those. The ones that had other people allegedly on it that they didn't want to get out. And then all of a sudden, after all of these years, voila, out comes the beating video. That is the most damaging thing to his case, not because it has anything to do with Rico, but because it has everything that before he even went to court, they wanted to make sure that everybody on the streets would say he was a nasty, filthy, disgusting, dirty monster. And they were successful. Now, just to give y'all a comparison as I close out, that guy, what is it, Luigi, that took allegedly, I guess I'll say, that man's the CEO's life. You're not hearing no disgusting things about him. Matter of fact, they almost put him like he's some hero. Good night and goodbye, everybody. Hit the like button.